The story I'm going to narrate took place 25 years ago. This was when I was a boy just stepping into my teenage years, and my sister was a girl of 10. Our family owned a pretty little farmhouse on the outskirts of town. Nothing too extravagant. It was essentially a two-story bungalow with a small patch of garden in front. That summer of 1997 was our first visit to the farmhouse. My sister and I were excited beyond words, but as we reached closer to the farmhouse, I debated if I should share my secret with her. As we entered the bungalow, I decided it was for the best that I did.
A ghost?
A friendly ghost, I quickly corrected her. I went on to tell her about the rumors I had heard through whispered conversations during family gatherings. There was apparently a ghost that had lived in the farmhouse for close to 30 years. It was a female, and she was invisible, but she would always make her presence known by moving around furniture from one room to another, or even within the same room. I guess it was time for me and my sister to find out if the adults' words held any truth to them at all, or if it was just a cheap trick to scare off outsiders from trespassing into the farmhouse. It was on the very first morning that we realized that the adults were in fact not lying. When I woke up, it was just past sunrise, but there was already a glass of water on the bedside table. I walked quietly through the house, and both my parents and my sister were sound asleep. It had to be the doing of the ghost. That evening, my sister and I decided to give the ghost a name. After some deliberation, we settled on the name Lady. That is what I will be calling her for the remainder of the story. Lady was considerate, if nothing else. She would mostly move around the furniture at night when we were asleep, and do it quietly enough so as not to disturb and wake us up. But every morning, when we walked into the living room, something or the other would always be moved. The bed would be a couple of inches to the left, the drawer in front of the television stand would be left slightly ajar, and on the exceptionally rare occasion, Lady would try to move a chair while me or my sister were seated on it. But Lady did have a favorite piece of furniture within the house. There was an antique reclining chair that had been in the family for generations now. Usually, it would be kept leaning back against the leftmost corner wall of the living room. Most days, Lady would shift the chair only a few inches forward, but on a couple of days, we found the chair pushed right to the center of the room. When the holiday came to an end, we found that we had formed a rather unusual bond with this faceless occupant of the house, and just before leaving, I left a small goodbye note for Lady on the antique reclining chair. 8 years later, my sister had left for university a week ago, and I was about to enter the final year of my degree as well. It was close to midnight when a notification popped up on my email. It was my sister.
Andrew, please open this link as soon as you get this email. Remember that trip we took to the farmhouse all those years ago? Remember, Lady? Read this article carefully, right to the end. You will understand what I mean.
I tapped on the link and started reading. Police were called this evening to the old farmhouse at the edge of town. A terrible sight met their eyes. Mrs. Kelly's two young boys, aged 5 and 7, were found dead, frothing at the mouth, 2 glasses of milk spilled on the floor next to them. Even more tragically, Mrs. Kelly had hanged herself, and it appears she had poisoned the milk glasses to set in motion this unthinkable sequence of events. The photo attached to this report made my blood run cold. My sister was right, and this one image put our childhood holiday at the farmhouse in a very different and sinister light. The photo showed the antique reclining chair placed exactly in the center of the living room, and on top of it was placed the rope which Mrs. Kelly had used to end her life. It appeared we had given our rather unfriendly ghost the wrong name.